What if everything you've been told about manifesting is complete BS? I've manifested multiple 8 and 7-figure businesses, one of them being my own startup that's valued at over $10 million, all the way to six-pack abs while I was busy traveling and growing companies, to having a consulting business where I'm literally paid to exist. And all of this has nothing to do with affirmations, journaling, meditations, chanting into my navel, using crystals, using seers and seekers, none of that. The reason why most people fail at manifesting is not because they're not spiritual enough, it's because they're manifesting from the wrong energy without even realizing it. So today, I'm breaking down my no BS formula for manifesting multiple 7-8-figure businesses, the physique you want, the life of your dreams, and I'm also going to show you why you've been doing it backwards all along. Now, before we dive into it, let's get clear on who this is for and who this is not for. This is not for you if you believe in manifesting without changing who you currently are being. So you believe in being the person you are, and all of a sudden $1 million is going to drop in your lap. If that's you, it's not going to help you. 2, this is not for you if you are one of two extremes. Either you're overly masculine or you're overly feminine. Either you believe in push energy and chasing and pushing really hard, going against the grain to achieve things in your life, and that's your worldview, meaning you have to work really hard to make money and have the life you want, or you're extremely feminine energy, meaning you're not going to lift a finger, you're just going to wait for things to land in your lap, you're just going to sit and imagine things and beautiful things. This is not going to help you because it's not really an extreme approach, it's a more pragmatic approach. And finally, this is most definitely not for you if you have crippling low self-worth, meaning you think very lowly of yourself and your fundamental worldview is that someone has to lose in order for you to win. And so in order for you to make money, you need to take and someone else needs to lose. And 4th and most important, this is not for you if you're the sort of person who likes to test things and dip their toes in the water and half-ass things. This is for you if you have at least once in your life, for something or the other, gone all the way, committed and achieved it. Could be something as small as winning a race in 3rd grade or showing up on time to a meeting, or as big as building a business or changing your physique. But there's got to be evidence in your life that at least once you didn't half-ass things. If you have zero evidence in your life and you've always half-assed things, it's not going to help you. Now, this is for you if you believe in a more practical approach towards life, a more balanced approach towards life. This is also for you if you've tried affirmations and journaling and meditation and they haven't really worked for you. This is also for you if you're a mix of masculine structure and strategy and action, as well as feminine creativity, flow, and receptivity. So much love to everybody in the first group, but I don't think this video is going to help you. For the rest of you, let's rock and roll. For context, I have nothing to sell you. I created a manifesting program 5 years ago, which I used to sell back then. I made well over $250,000 from that program, but that program is not available to the general public. Like, even if you wanted to buy it, you couldn't buy it. It's only available to people in my business program as part of the business program. What I'm going to do in this video is share with you the methodology, the mistakes that people make, and the fix that you need to do it for you. I'm also going to link some of my tools down below for you to get clear on your targets and your goals and to help you reverse engineer what's holding you back. With that said, let me take you down memory lane to May of 2015. I was in my 3rd leadership role at Mundi Pharma. By this time, I'd already scaled one business to 8 figures at Pfizer. By this time, I'd already dramatically recomped my body once, meaning I'd lost weight working with Coach Jerry Ward, God rest his soul. And so I had a couple of winning experiences in life, and this was the 3rd time that I was hired as the CEO of a company, and my job was to set up an operations from zero, meaning from zero presence. I had to buy an office, set up an office, hire people, department staff, liaise with the government, get medicines registered, liaise with the distributor for distribution, liaise with factories to buy product, get it in country, then give it to distributors, essentially setting up a business from zero all the way up. Now, while I grew this business to $3 million, a day in my life was waking up every single day with high stress and anxiety, to fires in my inbox, to emails about shipments getting lost, doctors and customers unhappy with our product, complaints about certain things, people leaving teams, hiring and firing going on, all sorts of issues. You name it, and I had that problem. And so I was operating from a state of very high success. I was literally predicting the next disaster that was going to happen. Earlier on in my life, I'd struggled with panic attacks while I was in Pfizer, while growing my first 8-figure business. And I'd struggled with panic attacks and anxiety, and I'd overcome it using meditation. So my mind logically went to, if I overcame it then, why is it coming back now? And I'm the sort of guy who doesn't like being dependent on things, even if it's good things like meditation. I'm more of a one and done sort of guy. I'm more of a permanent upgrade kind of guy. So I was like, well, I don't want to meditate again. And I don't want to keep meditating for the rest of my life to keep panic attacks and anxiety at bay. There's got to be a better solution. I need to figure out, how do I go and fix this at a root level? And that's when I stumbled upon Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Joe Dispenza has been one of the most influential people on my life. He's changed my life dramatically. Like, if Joe Dispenza wasn't there, I wouldn't be who I am today, where I am today. I don't even know if I'd be alive today. But I looked at his book and it had another meditation, an hour and 45-minute long meditation. But he made a lot of sense. He talked about reprogramming the subconscious mind. He talked about certain things that I hadn't been exposed to before. And so I made a logical decision. I was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm already waking up to high stress situations. My boss is on my case all the time. I might lose my job if I don't perform well, etc., etc. So what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job anyway. Might as well give it a shot. If anything, I might end up losing my job, but get the identity upgrade that Dispenza promises. And so I did an hour and 45-minute long meditation for 3 months straight without missing a beat. I remember I used to sit at a chair, and at the end, my back would hurt because I wasn't used to sitting up straight like that. I did it. And it worked, and it permanently changed everything for me. But here's the catch. It did not change my circumstances. Instead, it changed who I was showing up as in my circumstances. And that's when I cracked the code on how to manifest. So let me tell you the first mistake I then realized that most people make while they're manifesting. They're manifesting from a place of running away from their problems or running away from an undesired state towards a desired state. Simply put, they're running in or from an energy of scarcity instead of an energy of abundance. So their thoughts are, I don't have money, therefore I want to manifest $1 million. Instead of, I would love to have $1 million and let's manifest that. So the I don't have the money, therefore I need to is complete reversal, and it actually blocks you from manifesting. So let me explain 2 things. There's a very simple formula for manifesting. There's a practical way for people to manifest. You only need 2 things. 1, you need a clear, vivid goal. So a lot of times people will say, I want to manifest the partner of my dreams. I'm like, okay, what does that look like? Partner of my dreams, going to be an amazing person. Like, people are unclear on the goal they want. I want to manifest $1 million. I was like, do you know what $1 million looks like? No. But it'd be nice to have. You want to get not clear on what you want, but why you want it. So if you get the $1 million, how are you going to use it? Maybe you're going to buy a new car. You're going to buy a house. You should know what house you want to buy. Maybe you're going to take a trip. Maybe you'll buy equipment. Whatever it is you're going to do with it. Now, the manifesting needs a purpose in your life. It shouldn't be wouldn't it nice to manifest? That's the first thing. The second thing, now that you have a target and you're the vehicle, you need fuel to move towards the target. And the fuel is the emotional state. Now, the highest and the best fuel, as we all know, is a state of gratitude, meaning you are grateful that it's already happened, and it's the fastest fuel, and it gets you there very quickly. But anything above a neutral state is still good fuel. So if you're amused, if you're jovial, if you're happy, if you're kind, if you're in love or loving, these are great fuels to get you to your goal. Anything below neutral slows you down drastically. And unfortunately, most of the people that I meet, even back then, because when I was into Joe Dispenza, I was checking out Facebook groups of Dr. Joe Dispenza's, and most of the people were trying to manifest from the worst possible fuel of, I hate my life, I'm such a miserable person, I never get good things, everything in my life sucks, and then I hope I make $1 million. I hope I get the man of my dreams. I remember this one woman I was speaking to. She was trying to manifest, she was a German fitness trainer, and she was trying to manifest the man of her dreams. And she kept telling me that she would keep ending up with Arab men who would use her for her money and then dump her. And I was like, cool, that sounds like a pattern in you. Have you taken a closer look at the pattern? And she was like, no. I will just manifest and I'll get the man of my dreams. And then a couple of weeks later, she says, yeah, I met the man of my dreams. He's an Arab, he's amazing, he loves me. I was like, awesome. And then a couple of months after that, she's like, yeah, that man turned out to be like everyone else. He used me for my money and he dumped me. Now, obviously to me, from a subconscious point of view, this woman was trapped in a loop of constantly being attracted to the wrong person. So she wasn't changing who she was, but she wanted to manifest the man of her dreams. It doesn't work like that. So you need two things: direction, clear, vivid direction. Fuel, good feelings. Now, let's talk about the practical aspect and why this fuel was hard, at least for me. I do the Dispenza meditation, and after that, you're supposed to hold that state for as long as possible. So you're supposed to finish the meditation as the person you want to be, and then continue being that person for as long as possible. And the theory was that if you do it long enough, you will stop being who you are, and the new person will take over. The problem for me in my situation was I'd stop the meditation, I'd get up and I'd check my phone, and there would be 3 fires I needed to put out. My meditation goes out the window. Instantly, I'm in an anxiety loop. I'm in a panic loop, and I'm like, what the hell do I do now? I need to fix this. And there goes the person who I was meant to be. So I was like, all right, this is not helping. This is useless. I can meditate as many times as I want. The moment I see something, it triggers me, and boom, I'm stuck again. So how do I change my emotional charge permanently so that the environment stays the same? Because a lot of people sometimes say, well, you need to change your environment. Unfortunately, I mean, if you can, that's awesome. I couldn't. I had to live in my environment. I had a wife, I had a child, I had bills to pay. And that's why I said this is going to be a practical guide. This is not going to be a guide where I tell you to go on a deserted island for 3 months and manifest the life of your dream, because unfortunately, most people can't do that. And so for the common man, me, I had to figure out a way to do it while in my present circumstances. And so what I did, instead of thinking about the goal, thinking about the target, I was like, what sort of man would I need to be who then can make the money that I was trying to make back then, maintain the position, enjoy the respect of his colleagues, and have an absolutely stellar career. Back then, I had no clue I was going to be an entrepreneur. Back then, for me, the career was the career. And the implications of that was I needed to change on an identity level. From a practical point of view, I needed to go from a Yaya who opens up his inbox and panics to a Yaya who opens up his inbox and is like, interesting, shipment's late. All right, it's going to be late. Put the phone down. That's an identity change. So now let me tell you another story where this clicked for me on how to do this, which is before Mundipharma, which is the first time I hired a fitness coach, Jerry Ward, God rest his soul, to help me do a body recomp. So this must have been somewhere in 2012, 2013, something like that. This version of me is overweight. This version of me is depressed. This version of me, of course, has panic and anxiety attacks. This version of me smokes 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day. This version of me works out like crazy, but also eats like crazy. So my overcompensation mechanism was to overeat because I was depressed. I needed something to soothe me, and food was the thing. This version of me is the version who was told by my father and my wife that if I didn't change things, I would have a heart attack and die at the age of or before 30. So typical type A personality, very high strung, get shit done. To the outside world, I was running an 8-figure business, but like my life was an absolute mess. And I was trying to get it together. This is the first time I was meditating and it was beginning to work. I wasn't facing anxiety so much. And then as part of my upward trend, I hired Jerry to help me do my first body recomp. And obviously, Jerry gave me a diet plan and Jerry gave me a workout plan, and I started on that. And then somewhere in the middle, I left Pfizer for Takeda for about a year, and then I moved to Mundipharma. So that version of me and that part of my life was basically traveling the world almost every week. Having meetings, having negotiations, living in hotels, setting up businesses from scratch, being busy all day long, etc., etc. But Jerry had given me a workout plan and a diet plan, and I didn't have control of either. So I categorically remember an email chain going back and forth with Jerry at about 2 o'clock in the morning while I was in Dubai, where I was telling him, dude, I just got done right now. I don't have the energy to go work out. I have no control over my meal plans. Can I have some level of flexibility? And Jerry got back to me and said, do you want it or not? Which I found very rude. And I was like, what do you mean, do you want it or not? Because that question triggered me. I was like, who do you think I am? Dude, I'm the CEO of a company. I'm setting things up. I'm traveling the world. I'm burning myself on both ends. And immediately my mind went to, this guy doesn't get it. He's never been an employee before. He's never had to build businesses like I have to. He doesn't get my situation. I was kind of annoyed. And Jerry gets back to me and says, no, yeah. Let me know if you want it or not. So what I understood by his words, because he wasn't the most eloquent person, he wasn't asking me whether I wanted it or not. He was asking me, how bad did I want it? Like, how committed was I to getting it done? And honestly, back then, out of sheer ego, I was like, screw you, dude. I'm going to show you who I am and what I'm made of. And I was like, hell yes, I want it. Let's go. And then I remember going and working out at 2 o'clock in the morning in the gym, taking a picture and probably sending it to Jerry and then sticking to my diet. But more importantly, that was a time in my life like a switch had been flipped. That to me was an identity upgrade. Like, I sat down with the decision. I was like, do I want it or not? And I was like, come hell or high water, I'm going to die trying. I'm going to either achieve this or die trying. I'm going to prove this guy wrong. So it was driven by the wrong ego needs, but it was a step in the right direction. And that's the first time, or at least the first conscious time, that I'd experienced an identity upgrade where I stopped showing up or thinking like I used to and started showing up and thinking like the man I wanted to. And then naturally, fast forward a couple of months, again in Dubai, I remember like 10 o'clock at night, I just finished my meal. I was doing keto back then, so it was probably salmon with butter. And I took off my shirt and I saw my abs in the mirror. And this is the first time in my life that I'd seen ab definition. And the weirdest part is I was slightly amused, and that's it. Like, it's not like, oh my God, I have abs now, oh my. Like, all the excitement that I thought I would feel as the old version of me did not happen. And then it occurred to me that I'd been behaving, I was embodying and being an athlete with a high level of discipline about his workouts and his diet for months. And so I noticed that my mind, mentally, psychologically, I'd already moved on. Like, I'd already moved from Yahya the regular Joe to Yahya the athlete and then some. And my body was just catching up to who I was already subconsciously, psychologically being. So you know how they say you change on the inside first and then the outside just catches up? That's what I was experiencing. And so while it was kind of sad that I didn't have a celebration, I didn't feel as good as I thought I would, I kind of understood that manifesting isn't necessarily about the goal, but instead about the person you need to be to achieve that goal. And that lesson stayed with me. Fast forward a couple of years back to Mundipharma, I asked myself the same thing. I applied the same principle of the flip in identity and asked myself, all right, all of this is freaking me out. What sort of man do I need to be who just looks at fires and is unbothered and says, I'll fix it, and puts his phone down? What sort of man walks into a meeting and is respected and is not fazed when he is sitting there alone representing his company, whereas the company they're partnering with has 12 people entering the room using psychology to overwhelm him and bully him into agreements that are clearly in their favor? How does that man behave? How does that man think? How does that man show up? And that's when I took a much deeper look at myself. And today it's called the Belief to Behavior Encoding Template. It's part of the tools I use in my program. I'm going to link it down below so you can use it for yourself. But essentially the challenge for me was, how do I reverse engineer the man I'm currently being and then engineer the man I want to be? And that requires a very high level of self-awareness. And let me explain to you what the chain looks like. So if you want to change a behavior, you actually have to track it back to the belief it comes from. So the way we operate and what we see are visible behaviors that we engage in. So it could be overeating food, eating food at the wrong time, being a coward and running away from something that you need to take head on. Could be anything. The micro behavior is an offshoot of a macro way of behaving. The macro behavior is an offshoot of either an emotion or a thought, because some people are emotionally driven, meaning they act on emotion. Other people are mentally driven. Their thoughts make them act. The emotion or the thought is a derivative of a state of mind. The state of mind is a derivative of the identity they hold to be true. And the identity is comprised of all the beliefs they hold to be true about themselves and about the world. And so if you want to change a behavior, you actually need to trace it back to the belief it's coming from. And that's the root. And that's where you pull it out and you insert a new one. And this is why it's very hard to stop someone from overeating when they're overeating, because they're already engaged in the behavior, but it's a lot easier to program it out of them at a thought stage, at an emotion stage, at a state of mind stage, or at a belief stage. So an example of this would be, the behavior would be someone goes and opens the fridge. The state of mind could be, I'm bored. The thought could be, I'm bored. The state of mind could be distracted, bored. And then deeper, the identity or the belief could be some kind of childhood trauma that they experienced and they learned to buffer with food. And now that's hardwired into their system. And it's subconscious. They don't even know it's happening while it's happening. And the trick or the hack is how do you become aware of something that happens in nanoseconds? Meaning you've processed it, you've gone from belief to identity to state of mind to thought to emotion to behavior like this. You didn't even realize you went through the whole thing. So I use subconscious reprogramming to extract that behavior and then insert a new one. This is the first time I developed this, and I used it on myself first, which is what I always do. Things got dramatically easier. So from a practical point of view, I'd get an email about a shipment and I wouldn't panic. My boss would call me and my anxiety wouldn't go through the roof. I'd find out about a sale not going through or a price being challenged, an import delay or a registration of a medicine not happening on time, and I'd be okay with it. So it's kind of like the best example I can give you is that the first time you get a flat tire, you feel kind of troubled and overwhelmed, but the 27th time you get a flat tire, you're used to it. The first time, at least in what I teach now, when you get on a sales call, you're high anxiety, it's the first time, you don't know what to say, you're kind of worried, but the 357th time that you get on a call, you're pretty okay. Now, this re-encoding took me months, took me a couple of months, but it worked. And for the re-encoding to work, I've even further distilled it down to one simple thing. And this is when and how manifesting became easy as pie for me. It became a joke. And my formula is not journaling or visualizing or affirmations or 2-hour-long meditations. My formula is the exact same formula that I applied with Jerry Ward. I asked myself one question: how far am I willing to go to achieve what I want to achieve? Let me give you a recent example. I launched a program called Paid to Exist about 4 weeks ago. 5 spots sold out in a week, $20,000 and some change. But I launched it in the most unideal circumstances. Like most coaches, including myself, business coaches will tell you not to do this. And here's why. I gave myself 1 week from inception, meaning I thought of the idea, to selling it out and starting it, meaning I just gave myself 1 week that I wouldn't recommend to anybody else to think of it, create it, and sell it out. The other thing is I limited it to 5 spots, which is not bad, but then I also limited to a date, meaning I had to fill the 5 spots within the week because we were starting on a certain date. So not only was it a cohort that I haven't done in like 5 years, but also it was restricted to a date. And I also did not make a huge hue and cry about it on social media, meaning I only posted about it twice on my socials, I think on Facebook only. And I rolled out an email to my mailing list, and that was also in phases, meaning I rolled it out to my clients first, then I rolled it out to my alumni, then I rolled it out to people on my wait list, and then I rolled it out to my mailing list. Now, here's the part that messes with people, that mess with me too. As soon as I announced it and rolled it out, someone bought within the first 20 minutes. They texted me, they're a client of mine. They said, I want in, please save a spot, send me the link, I'll pay you. And they paid straight away. And then no one bought for 24 hours. And that's when I had to sit down with the decision of, what if this is a bad idea? What if I screwed up big time? What if I had a longer date to fill the spots? What if I made more hue and cry on social media? Like a bunch of what ifs. And then the worst case scenario, which is, what if no one else buys? What am I going to do? Parking the ego aside, meaning the embarrassment and all those things, I had very tactical logistics issues to think about. Now, I had 3 or 4 options. One, if it didn't sell out, I could give the money back to the person, return it, and say, hey, we're not going ahead with this. The other option was I go crazy on social media and try to fill out seats. I DM a bunch of people. I start incentivizing people to buy. I start adding discounts, like all the things that people do when they're desperate. And I want to do that. And then the third option was come up with some sort of new creative solution to doing that. And this is when life tests you. And this is when you have to make the hard decision, and this is the only decision you ever have to make. And I had to sit with the possibility that if only one person buys, what sort of man am I going to be? Am I going to be the man who desperately reaches out to people to fill seats? Am I going to be the man who DMs a bunch of people, adds a bunch of discounts? And what I heard intuitively was a big fat no. Like, I'm not going to do that. Nope, I'd rather not sell spots than sort of get so desperate. And so the decision I came to was, even if one person buys, I'm going to show up exactly like I show up in a cohort. I would give them the best experience of their life. Obviously, they're getting about 2 to 3 hours off me every single week. I'm going to have the most incredible result. It's going to be recorded, and I'll turn it into a high-ticket program later, and I'm going to heavily reward this person. This is going to change their life. All of this happened within the first 24 hours, and as soon as I was clear about what I'm going to do in worst-case scenario, People started buying and it sold out within the week. Boom, done. And here's what I've noticed. For me and my clients, manifesting is easy. We're manifesting all the time, but we're half-assing a lot of the time. So we're not clear or we're not committed to worst case scenario. And worst case scenario keeps messing with us. What if I don't make the money? What if I don't have the success? Am I going to end up on the road? What am I going to do if this embarrassing thing happens? And the point I'm making here is if you're manifesting and it's not working for you, you're either half-assing it, meaning you don't really mean it. You're coming from a place of, it would be nice to have, instead of I would love to have this. Or you're giving it the wrong fuel, meaning you're coming at it from a place of extreme fear, which is, I need to have it, otherwise, insert bad scenario. And this is where people use languaging like, I have no choice, I have no option, I can't, I have to make it work. These are all languages used by someone who's a bit of a slave. Like, I'm stuck, don't have a choice, don't have an option. Like, it's weak languaging. And then the third reason, probably the trickiest reason, if you're the sort of person who is committed, you've never half-assed things, you're approaching it like a hero, is that on a conscious level, you're awesome. But on a subconscious level, you're stuck in, let's call it victim behaviors, lacking behaviors, scarcity behaviors. Essentially, you're actively manifesting while you're doing the meditation or the visualization or the affirmation or whatever. And then you immediately, like I used to, as soon as that's over, you come back to real life, you snap back to the old version of you. And the old version of you is familiar with fear. The old version of you is familiar with staring at a bank account and freaking out, or not staring at the bank account because they freak out. So it's operating out of fear. So let's talk about the two things that you should never do while manifesting, because this is the thing that I've seen that throws most of the people I work with off, which is coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, course creators, hardworking, kind-hearted people who are just unable to manifest. And so the first thing is how it's going to happen. We live in a logical cause and effect linear world. So we're used to thinking of this is the cause, this is the effect. And what throws us off is when we're unable to see the cause and we just see an effect. So for example, while I was in Mundi Pharma, I was working really hard on a $700,000 portfolio of OTC medicine. So like ear, nose, throat, inflammation medicines. I was working really hard. I'd spent months on it and it just wasn't happening. And out of the blue, someone contacted me for an order that was over $1 million for one of our antiseptics. And my mind just couldn't handle it. I was like I've been working so hard at $700,000 portfolio and that's not moving. But then this other thing that I have done nothing to deserve suddenly comes up out of the blue. Now, obviously by this time, I'd worked pretty hard on being that man, making those decisions, thinking like that. And so I didn't shoot myself in the foot and I didn't sabotage it, but it was surprising. I was very surprised. And I've seen that thing throw people off left, right, and center. So from a practical point of view, let's imagine someone's working really hard on their content and their marketing, and to them, it's not working. And then out of the blue, someone contacts them for something else and is willing to pay the money. And they're like, oh, where did this come from? I wasn't even trying to sell to this person. Like, I should say no. I'm like, why should you say no? Like, you're coming at it from a great place. You've got abundant energy. Someone clearly wants to give you money. See if you can help them. And if you can, say yes. But the logic mind messes with us. It's like, no. I put my effort here. Why am I being rewarded here? Makes no sense. The thing is, it's not supposed to make sense. You're not supposed to know how it's going to happen. You're just supposed to know it's going to happen. The second thing that decimates people's approach is when it's going to happen. The number of people that I have worked with who have set arbitrary timelines and deadlines, and what it looks like is, if I don't make money by X, Y will happen. The number of people I've seen ruin their mental health, their business, and slow success down is ridiculous. And I'll give you two examples. This is basically two people who work with me. There's people who work with me. The first group is people who work with me, they're fully sold into the mission and they want to do everything and everything is awesome and they're doing a great job. But on the back end, they've got some weird deadline set for themselves, or they're comparing themselves to someone else's timeline. And so they may or may not mention it to me, but I can see it in their body language. So they don't feel good about any of the steps they take. They don't success any of the milestones they hit. In Record Breaker, I break down business building into very simple steps, meaning first you figure out what the offer is going to be. then you validate it, then you test it, then you start putting it out in the market, you start building an audience for it, then the audience start getting interested and start raising their hands, wanting to talk to you, then you start engaging the audience, talking to them, then you start converting the audience, giving them something to consume or giving them something low ticket, and eventually they buy from you. Like, it's pretty simple, it's a bunch of steps. Imagine someone who's gone from offer creation to all the way to lead generation, meaning hot people reaching out to them wanting to buy, not having celebrated any of those steps because they still haven't made the money. Now, obviously, to me, from a zoomed out perspective, they're on the right track. It's just a matter of time before they make the money, but I have no clue who they're comparing themselves to. And so if in their mind, they're not seeing themselves as being successful, they're actually making it harder because bad fuel, so disappointment, depression, fear, why hasn't it happened yet, etc., etc. Bad fuel, that's going to slow down their sale. The second people that I work with are people who are equally committed, good people. They just don't have that arbitrary timeline. They're like, it's going to happen. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to win. Let's go. Have a good time. And those people end up as the 20K working 1 hour, 30K working 2 hours, 30K in 1 month. It's like all the crazy results that you may or may not have seen on my YouTube channel. Check them out. They're very awe-inspiring. They sound very like get rich quick, make $3 million in 2 weeks type things, but like they're genuine human beings and they're good people and they get those results. But the secret of their results is not that I gave them the magic pill that I don't give these people. It's the energetics behind how they make money and how quickly they allow themselves to receive and make the money. It's because they're not fixated on the what if things go wrong. So the two things that you're not supposed to think about: how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen, because the when depends on when you become the man or the woman who deserves to make the money. And if you've gone so many steps from creating an offer, validating an offer, talking about the offer, content blowing up, and you've done all these things, but you're not showing up as the person who is proud of having done all these things and who is happy with doing all these things and who can clearly see how all these things are going to lead to the sale, you will not make the sale. You're going to sabotage yourself. You're slowing down the rate at which you will get the sale. The date is dependent on when you level up, and when you level up is dependent on when you change your perspective and you decide to feel happy about what you're achieving, versus if you continue to stay stuck in being fearful about what you're not achieving. Now, simply put, I sometimes explain it to people and I say there's good pressure and there's bad pressure. Good pressure is you've paid me money, you've put your money where your mouth is, you're committed, you're showing up, you're doing the work. I love that. Speeds up results. Bad pressure is you've paid me money and now you have an incredible amount of pressure on you to make that money back in as soon as time as possible. It's a good way of looking at things, but it just slows down the process unnecessarily. It creates friction, it drags things out, because I've always seen that strategy is often not wrong. The approach to the strategy, the energetic or the emotional state while executing the strategy, is usually bad for most people. Unfortunately, we live in a world where most people, most of the time, are subconsciously more comfortable being sad or angry or jealous or fearful or vindictive than they are being happy or grateful or loving and kind and caring. And a lot of people, unfortunately, disguise being kind as actually being a coward. So they're projecting kindness because they have no other choice. So their internal emotional state is a bad one. They externally exhibit it as kindness. That's kindness from a slave's point of view. That's not kindness from an empowered person's point of view. And so the first group tries to manifest from lack, bad energy. The second group manifests faster from good energy. The best example I can give you is if you're sitting in a car and you're going from point A to point B and you have low quality crap fuel, your car is going to stop along the way, it's going to stutter along the way, it's probably going to damage the engine of the car, and it'll take you longer to get from point A to point B. If you're it's the same car, going from point A to point B, but the fuel is amazing, all you need to do is gently, lightly tap the accelerator and boom, you get there instantly. That's the fuel. And the fuel is where most people go wrong. This is the part that breaks my heart, because I see the most beautiful, hardworking people unable to manifest the life they want. This has nothing to do with the way they're manifesting. It has everything to do with the way they've been programmed to see the world. And so in the beginning, I told you this video is not for you if you see the world as a hostile place, because Albert Einstein said the most important decision man needs to ask himself is whether he lives in a hostile world or a kind, loving, compassionate, beautiful world. Because whatever he believes to be true is going to be true. So imagine someone trying to manifest money and wealth but also simultaneously thinking that there's people out to get them, there's people out to hurt them, people will steal from them, etc., etc., etc. That's two contradictory beliefs working against each other, making it unnecessarily difficult to manifest. And so when I work with clients, not on the business strategy, but on the energetics, I actually don't have to work to telling them how to manifest. I just reprogram their subconscious behavior to match the person they're trying to consciously be. And the way to do that is to understand abundance. People think money is abundance. Money is actually the lowest form of abundance because money is an IOU. It's just a note saying, I owe you X amount of money. That's how money came into being, before which we used to have the barter system. The higher forms of abundance are being resourceful, being able to create money, or having the connections to help you do what you want to do as and when you want it. A great example is Paid to Exist, an idea that I had that resulted in 20,000 plus in a week's time, with me not really doing much. It didn't require effort, it didn't require a lot of grind, but it did require one single decision. And the decision was, what am I going to do in worst case scenario? And the moment I became very clear on the decision of what am I going to do during worst case scenario, reality collapsed and became what I wanted it to be. So for me, whenever people ask me, how do you do this? How do you create the wealth and all these things? I always tell them, I don't manifest and I don't sit around meditating for hours and hours and visualizing and putting up vision boards and affirmations and all. I just sit down with a decision and then I see how far I'm willing to go. Because we all have fear in us, including me. From a fear point of view, I look at worst case scenario and I look at if I'm okay with worst case scenario. And the moment I decide that I'm okay with worst case scenario, instantly. Because the universe can sense your energy. The universe can literally sense your energy of how far you're willing to go. So I tap into the same version of me that told Jerry, come hell or high water, I'm going to do this or die trying. And it knows that I'm that sort of person. And the moment my intent is clear, like, hey, this is going to happen no matter what. Like with Paid to Exist, I was like, this is going to happen no matter what, even if one person buys. Done. I'm going to give them the experience of a lifetime. And it's going to be fantastic. Boom. Things start happening. And to me, that's the magic formula. It's not the visualization. It's not the fancy fluffy things to do. It's the person you are willing to be to do what needs to be done to get the thing you want to get. Because most people that see manifesting as cause and effect want the effect of manifesting, but don't want to do anything for the cause. I teach people, and my formula teaches you to be the cause that in turn causes the effect. And so when you start thinking like you are the cause of the money and the wealth and the love you receive from the outside world, the effect comes very quickly. And so here's my challenge or my guidance for you. Think long and hard about what you want, but more than that, think about why you want what you want. Is it for ego needs, like you want to show off to the world? Do you have a generous streak and you want to spend that money to retire your parents, buy a house, travel, do whatever you want? Like, is it a fuzzy feeling idea that you have that would be nice to have, or is it something that you are genuinely dedicated towards achieving? Then measure how far you're willing to go. Now, all of us at some point in time in our life have half-assed things. Like, we have more proof of half-assing things than going all the way. But tap into the part that has at least once gone all the way and achieved something in life, because that's the person who knows how to get shit done. I always tap into that person when I'm facing worst case scenario. I always tap into who is that version of me? How far is he willing to go? Is he okay with worst case scenario? And the moment you decide and you commit to being that person, reality collapses into place for you. And that's why you have these stories of instantly making money or instantly getting the thing. Because it's not sexy to talk about the person they had to become to get the thing, but it's marketing friendly to talk about the thing that they got. And so I hope this helps you. I've linked the Belief to Behavior Encoding template below for you to reverse engineer your entire pattern and reprogram it into yourself. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.